I've had the iPhone 11 Pro for a month. Let's do a full review. Coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my full review of the smaller boy, the iPhone 11 Pro. Now, this is not the Max, it's the smaller version, but I am recording this video on the Pro Max, which is the larger version, and this is the final review of the triple iPhones this year in terms of reviewing all of them, and I had a goal to record every one of these iPhone reviews on one of the newer iPhones, this is the final one, and we did it. So let me know your thoughts on how the quality of this video looks, because it's coming directly from the same cameras you're going to get out of the phone we're reviewing. So the price of this phone, starting at $999 here in the US, and it can be more depending on where you live. This phone is a $1,000 phone. Now, if you trade in a phone, you can get a pretty substantial discount off this device. So let's just say out of pocket, this thing's gonna be $1,000. If you finance it, it's gonna be $40 or so a month. And if you guys go ahead and trade, it'll be substantially less than that. So there is ways to get it cheaper, but this is not a cheap phone. Nonetheless, 256 gigabytes goes up to $1149. 512 goes to $1349. Over my month using it, how do I feel about the build of this phone? First of all, I always love the stainless steel that was introduced on the iPhone 10. It's a very high quality material, and it feels that way every time you pick up this luxurious feeling gadget. So yeah, luxury, that's kind of what you could say about that material around the edges. Big Siri power button there, nothing on the top. And on the left, we do have our classic silence switch for the iPhone. Volume rockers right there on the bottom. You do see the lightning port as well as speaker grill and microphone holes as well. Now, I will say one thing, that matte textured back on the rear is just a joy. I mean, it doesn't get fingerprints. Yes, the Apple logo gets fingerprints, but the back does not. So that's a really good thing about this device. Now, the camera lenses themselves are a lot more flush than before. They don't stick too far off the phone, but I gotta say, they also feel pretty high quality, but I would still put a case on this phone, as if you hit those camera lenses on cement, I'm sure you might crack it or at least chip around the edges, and that's not gonna look pretty on this like premium device. So definitely like the camera design after using it for a while. Some people think it's, you know, looks like a stovetop or a fidget spinner or something like that. But overall, in person, it actually looks better than it does online. I don't think it's as photogenic as it is nice in person. But the quality of the housing around the camera is really top notch. And the way they work makes you forget about that design altogether, because they're very good cameras. So who really cares once you start using it and you really enjoy how the results do come out on that camera. So very tough glass on the front and on the rear. This is Gorilla Glass, Corning's Gorilla Glass on both sides. So very tough stuff there. Still, I would put a case on it like I always recommend. 188 grams. The iPhone 11 Pro is lighter than the 11 and the 11 Pro Max. So this is going to be your more compact one. And at 8.1 millimeters thick, it's not the thickest phone out there, but it's also not the thinnest out there. It's kind of a nice balance. So the more compact of the 11 series. I think you're going to enjoy the build of this one and how comfortable it is to hold. Having a flat screen, curved edges gives this phone a feeling like no other, really. I mean, well, it's like the iPhone 10 series, but still, this has always been a comfortable to hold device in the hand, and there's no denying that here once again. So talking about display, you do have a Super Retina XDR OLED display made by Samsung, pretty cool stuff, and it's very bright, over 800 nits or around there. Dolby Vision, HDR10 support, True Tone, dark mode, it's all here. This is top of the line display right here. And yes, it's brighter than the iPhone 10 and the iPhone XS. In addition to that, text is super sharp as always, over 450 pixels per inch. What that means is very sharp text. If we go over here, video also looks very good. If we pinch in the zoom, you can see the notch is still there. So this is one element of the display that you might think is starting to look a little bit dated if you do look at the competition, but many people say they don't really care about the notch and they forgot about it. They don't really pay attention to the notch. So, I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting the general consensus about these phones at this point, that people have just moved on. They don't really care about it anymore. So that might not be a drawback for you. Overall, the display on this phone is top notch. If you do go into accessibility settings, you go over here to display and text size. You also do have the ability to increase the contrast, differentiate without color, and you can turn on some color filters here as well to get more of a color you like. Maybe you want the grayscale, maybe you want a red-green filter. You can really tweak it around how you like in those settings. So display on this phone, it's really great. There's not much to talk about unless you really just can't stand having a cutout in your panel. So software, of course, is iOS 13. At this point, I'm sure you know what this software is by now. The dark mode, they got a few new features. We know the drill already on a 13, but really what I want to discuss here with you is how it's been performing. And when it first launched, it had a few bugs here and there, and sometimes it can be a little bit choppy depending on if you're on an earlier version of 13. But in the later versions, Apple is cleaning things up and it is getting snappier, smoother, and all that good stuff. And Deep Fusion is coming soon to this phone. So definitely this one right here is getting better with these iOS 13 updates. Although I do feel like it was a little bit rushed. It's not horrible software. Like, it's not super buggy. There's a few bugs here and there though. Overall, 13 has been a joy to use, I would say, in terms of, you know, just the dark mode mostly. That's the main thing I really love about this phone. It's super useful. But in terms of the other features, you have to remember they're there, like using the voice control, maybe using the screen time, the improvements there, maybe the new reminders app. Of course, the camera looks different here in the software for this phone because it does have, you know, just different software in terms of using that new camera setup. In addition, if you swipe up right here, you can see 4:3. We can do 16:9 now. We'll talk more about in the camera, but the camera software is different as well. Software overall, a little bit buggy at the start, but it's getting a lot better. And I think that if you're buying this phone, of course, you're probably in the iOS ecosystem and you want good software. And this phone's going to be updated for years. So software, thumbs up for iPhone 11 Pro. So when it comes to the storage, we have 42 gigabytes remaining. I did do a bunch of 4K videos, 18 of them already, and those are at 4K 60. So the storage does a good job at not depleting super fast, even though you have a lower storage model. But still, I think the amount of storage you're getting for the 11 Pro is just not that great. I think it could be better, like 128 gigs at the start for the money you're paying. So if you want the phone that has the storage to last, you got to go with the 256 gig. That's basically the upsell. So let me know your thoughts on storage. For me, I wish Apple would really put 128 gigabytes at the start. Okay, so cameras. The cameras, how many times we got to hear and praise these cameras already? Triple 12 megapixel, ultra wide, wide angle, telephoto. You know this is the main seller. We don't got to go on and on. I'm just going to skip over to my samples of this phone. Check them out and let me know. I'm just going to show you various wide angle shots as well as standard wide and 2x. The front facing camera, 4K 60 frames a second, and a much better quality for selfie photography. You can also do slow motion selfie videos on the front and a little bit of a difference in the UI changes. But go ahead and look at my samples and let me know what you think about the iPhone 11 Pro's cameras. I'm recording this video on the iPhone 11, which is something I haven't done with phones, is record videos, my videos for the channel in a while. So this should tell you something about how good these cameras are. So the audio quality for the 11 Pro. At 128 gigabytes for $749 or 256 gigabytes for $849. So let's get on with the body and design of this phone. So you can see this is the white version. It does have aluminum. Yeah, you should be able to hear that. It's pretty darn good. We have stereo speakers on this phone, top and bottom. I'm seeing some reports that the XS was a little bit louder. I don't really hear it that much, but people are saying it is maybe a couple decibels or whatever. The average consumer is not going to be able to tell. The audio is still pretty good. Of course, headphone jack, that died a long time ago, so you're going to be stuck with the Lightning headphones in the box that come here, or you're going to have to get yourself some AirPods or other Bluetooth headset if you want to get some cheap Bluetooth headset on Amazon, something like that, to go ahead and use this device, efficiently with headphones. So that's about it for the audio. I like the stereo speakers. They're pretty good sounding. So battery life. The battery life on this phone is darn impressive, and I'm going to tell you why it's impressive. It's not because, other phones aren't good on battery life in the iPhone lineup. It's that the XR was better than last year's XS, and now the smallest phone is better than the 11 on battery life. This smaller phone gets better battery life than the 11, which is like, that's a change from last year where the XS was getting worse than the cheaper iPhone XR, which I think played into the sales boost for the XR. But this year, I'm telling you like it is, the 11 is the worst of the three. It's not bad. They're all good. But the 11 Pro is second in line. And then the Pro Max, of course, that is the beast in the battery life. But this one is still beast. I'm finishing the day. I'm not even kidding you. My typical use day is a lot of, web browsing, YouTube videos, things like that. And I'm finishing the day on the 11 Pro with around 65%, which is insane. Now, the 11 Pro Max, I'm finishing around 74, 76, around there. So this is a very strong battery life phone. And you will notice that about this iPhone 11 Pro. And it's something you'll love about having this compact size, but also getting extraordinary battery life. So the 11 Pro 1 month later, I just really like the package you get here. You get a small powerhouse device here in the 11 Pro. You get cameras that literally can start a new content channel. If you wanted to make a YouTube channel, you always wanted to do one, and you always thought that the tool in your pocket wasn't enough. This is definitely enough. I mean, I always thought phones have been having great cameras for a while, but this, you're getting quality that's rivaling $1,000 point and shoot cameras now. I mean, maybe even doing better than that due to a lot of software processing, and it's only going to get better with the Deep Fusion update. In addition, the versatility of that wide angle makes this camera super fun to use, and you might think you don't need it, but when you're standing there and you got to step back 25 feet to get that photo of that mural, you're going to be very happy that you had that wide angle. And you'll be also happy about the incredible battery life that you get with the 11 Pro, and that it feels like a little piece of jewelry. It is a very high-end feeling phone. Overall, the pros far outweigh the cons of this phone. It might not be a change in design. It might not be something revolutionary, but it's the best iPhone yet. And that's enough to recommend it. What are your guys' thoughts about the iPhone 11 Pro? Are you picking one up? Or are you going with the 11? You going with the XR from last year? It's a good deal right now. You going with the iPhone 11 Pro Max? You're just not going with an iPhone. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to be well, and peace.